We'll keep it very focused. Sudheendra Kulkarni, here with me in the studio, is a columnist and author. We have Pavan Verma with us of the JDU, who's on the same side as Mr. Kulkarni, of Engagement. Alimuddin Khan, political analyst, leans towards the Congress, wants engagement. Sudhindra Bhadoria of the BSP wants engagement. Fuad Halim will be joining us, I think, in some time, about 15-20 minutes from now. On the other side tonight, I'm not saying pro or anti-engagement for them, Seshadri Chari, convener of the Foreign Affairs Cell of the BJP, member of its national executive. Sushil Pandit from our studios in Delhi. Sushant Sareen of the Vivekananda International Foundation. And Prafulla Ketkar of the Organiser, the RSS mouthpiece, the magazine of the RSS. Thank you, gentlemen. Let's debate. Now, I have clear views on the subject, Pavan Verma. I don't want you to feel that I will not let you speak because my views differ from yours. But as far as possible, I want you to answer my questions tonight because that can be the starting point of the debate and everyone can take it forward from there. May I, Mr. Verma, put my first question to you tonight. Mr. Verma, what is the position of parties like yours? I don't understand at all. In fact, it baffles me. Because when the Pakistani High Commissioner held an iftar party in Delhi and invited separatists after the Modi government took over, you called it an absolute abysmal diplomatic failure on the part of the Indian government then. You hated the separatists then, and you want us to engage them now? I don't understand.
May I answer?
Please.
First of all, in the context in which the Hurriyat was invited at that time, we felt that the welcoming of the Pakistan High Commissioner to the Hurriyat and the presence of this government there could have been best avoided in those circumstances. But Arnab, I am actually fully endorsing this government's move. And you are absolutely aware of it. You are asking me this question. Right now in front of me is the agenda of alliance of the BJP-PDP, which says that we will have a sustained and meaningful dialogue with all internal stakeholders, which include political groups irrespective of their ideological views and predilections, and it specifically says including the Hurriyat. Now, that is this government's position, the BJP government's position in its alliance with the PDP. We endorse that approach that in Kashmir you must take a hard, unyielding stand against terrorists, isolate the hardcore which believes in secessionism, which is
Wrong.
in league with Pakistan.
Wrong. Inconsistent.
Take a hard stand against infiltration.
Inconsistent.
From Pakistan.
Inconsistent.
Let me finish. I'll take
No, you're being inconsistent.
More. I'll take 20 seconds more.
Okay, but you're being inconsistent.
I'll take 20 seconds more, then you point out my inconsistency.
Yeah, tremendous inconsistency.
Yeah, and at the same time, we believe that Jammu Kashmir cannot be seen in perpetuity as only a law and order problem. And as the Parliament resolution indicated today, we need, as India as a whole, all parties unanimously endorse that resolution to build trust and confidence in Jammu and Kashmir, and to have measures by which a process of healing begins to take place in Jammu Kashmir. And this process of healing must include economic development.
All a confused position
which any sane Indian will take.
A confused position, if I may say so. With the greatest of respect to you personally, Pavan Verma. I mean, it's confused. It's inconsistent. When Masarat Alam was being released in Jammu and Kashmir, it was your alliance partner, the Congress, which was very vocal saying anti-India activities cannot be permitted. One. B, when Masarat Alam was released, a decision that your party, your leaders, Nitish Kumar, to be precise, was extremely critical of. And he went out and said, I want an explanation from the BJP on why they are releasing Masarat Alam. You hated the separatists then, it's convenient to you now, you want us to engage with them, and you quote the BJP-PDP agreement. I am asking you about your position. Don't hide behind the BJP-PDP agreement. So you must clarify, this sudden urge. This sudden urge.
You have called me confused.
Sir, 1 minute.
Arnab,
this sudden urge on the part of the opposition.
I understood your question.
Sir, one last line. This sudden urge on the part of the opposition to suddenly engage with all stakeholders in Kashmir is something I don't understand, because obvious flip-flops are involved there. By the way, should I open it up to debate, Pavan Verma? There are 3 other panelists who are...
But since you called me most confused...
then we'll open it up after that,
And some other word you use, inconsistent.
Inconsistent.
You will surely give me 20 seconds to respond.
Yeah. But the debate is to open after that,
And very quickly, very quickly, and then you can open it up. I have already said that where a hardcore terrorist is incarcerated and you believe his or her release will be antithetical to the very dialogue process you want to initiate and will further stimulate and provoke turmoil. This is a decision governments must take, and oppositions are...
I don't understand this, sir.
But I am actually saying, Arnab, please understand that all governments, including the BJP government, and it's a stand we endorse, believe that in Jammu Kashmir there needs to be a sustained and meaningful dialogue with all stakeholders in order to find a solution
what all stakeholders,
which goes merely beyond the use of force and creates perpetuity, unrest.
Opening the debate.
This is my point.
Opening the debate, 19 minutes past 9, we need to open the debate. And I want Pavan Verma to be responded to by, in this case, Seshadri Chari. So we hear both sides, and then, by the way, feel free to come in. Seshadri Chari.
No, Arnab, I just want to make one point. What the discussion and debate that took place in Parliament today is a momentous one. I think that should be the template on which we should be looking at the Kashmir issue, Jammu Kashmir issue. I am reminded of the Parliament debate that took place in 91 when the Parliament unanimously passed a resolution. The resolution was moved in that instance by the Speaker of the House, and that particular resolution was unanimously passed, which said that Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India. The only unfinished job is to get back the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. This was the Parliament which passed an unanimous resolution, and after that it was today in Parliament, the scenes that we witnessed, the speeches that were made, especially I must appreciate the stand taken by Mr. Azad, the representative of the Congress party, who spoke about integration, and he echoed the sentiments of not only this government, but he echoed the sentiments of each and every political party in the Parliament. I think looking at that from that point of view, the political class of India has resonated the voice of the people of India.
Sir, let's
not issued a warning.
Let's not. No, Mr. Chari, I began by saying something today.
All those forces.
I began by saying something today.
All those forces.
I began by saying something today, Mr. Chari. And I observed, right? I understand. I preempted your answer today, by the way.
Yes.
I know why you're saying this. I expected you to have this extremely conciliatory tone tonight. Understandable. You're in government. You have to be conciliatory. Otherwise, you will come under attack from opposition parties who are going to say...
because we are supporting each other.
No. Mr. Pavan Verma, not for a facetious reason like that.
It is not
Mr. Chari, listen. Mr. Chari,
it's about political parties,
about the government as a whole, including Parliament as a whole.
One second. Pavan Verma and Seshadri Chari. You see, we can continue like this. You can say, I like Pavan Verma, what he says. Pavan Verma will say, I agree with you. Then we say, we all agree with each other. And then we all agree. And then we go away. And then we have the next session of Parliament. I'm asking you.
I'm sure Pavan
I'm
Verma
asking you. Seshadri Chari, I have just one response to answer to you. Today, Sitaram Yechuri said, stop the use of pellet guns. Let's come to the hard issues. And Sushant Sareen, feel free to come in at any point of time.
Yes.
Sudhindra Bhadoria, Alimuddin Khan, Sudheendra Kulkarni. I raise one issue. Say, stop the use of pellet guns. For God's sake, stop the use of pellet guns. 1 minute. The issue is, yes, there should be introspection on the use of pellet guns. I'm asking you, Seshadri Chari, when 70 semi-automatic and automatic weapons are snatched away from a police station by protesters, when grenades are being thrown at the police and the security forces from behind a stone-throwing mob, when unidentified men hurl grenades at security forces in Pulwama, please tell us today whether you expect the security forces to throw bouquets back. Come to the hard issues, sir. Don't have this fake agreement on the program. Tell me.
No.
Do you agree with that?
No.
Come on.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
4,500 policemen have been injured. You want the policemen to turn the other cheek? Tell me, sir, you agree with Sitaram Yechury's analysis? Yeah.
We cannot expect the security force to throw roses and flowers.
That's my point.
When they are being attacked.
Yeah.
They are being attacked with weapons.
Yeah.
We cannot do that. And nobody is faulting the security forces as far as these things are concerned.
No, but why don't you?
Use of pellet guns should be done or not is an issue that has to be discussed with the army and the situation
good. So there
as
you are.
it warrants.
There
In a
evaporates the
situation
artificial consensus.
Where the mob, a frenzied mob,
Yeah.
is using all kinds of weapons against the army. You cannot expect the army
There
to
you
keep
are, Pavan
quiet.
Verma. There you are, Pavan Verma.
Can I now?
There you are. Let's go to hard issues. 1 second. Sushant Sareen comes into the debate, then Sudhindra Bhadoria.
Arnab.
Sushant Sareen. Let's open it up. Sushant Sareen.
I must say I was very disappointed with the debate today. Because to my mind what happened was that the villains in Kashmir, the people who are chucking stones, people who are burning property, people who are snatching guns, people who are throwing grenades, people who are assaulting police officers, killing them, people who are threatening the law enforcement machinery, threatening their families, the villains have been portrayed to be victims. And it's as though the biggest villain today is the pellet gun, and it's not these fellows who are doing this kind of violence out there. There has been no word on the violence out there, and frankly speaking, when you talk about inconsistency, I think it's trifle unfair on your part to only blame Mr. Pavan Verma and his side for inconsistency. I think inconsistency is part of the Indian body politic. We have seen that inconsistency today. While the Home Minister did lay out certain red lines today when he said that only thing we will talk about is POK, that we will not tolerate this business of raising Pakistani flags or abusing our soldiers. But can you understand one thing? The way he made those, or the way he drew those red lines, it was almost as if he was being apologetic about it. And I think he should have stated it very, very emphatically. The other point of disagreement was that when this whole hysteria over pellet guns and other crowd control measures are being spoken about, the Home Minister says that over 4,000 security force personnel have been injured, some maimed, some very, very seriously injured. Now, how can you run an administration when you destroy the morale of the police force, and the reports which are coming in that practically the police force has been forced to abdicate its responsibility in the region? And why should a police officer take charge out there?
Now on specifics tonight, the counter coming in from Sushant Sareen. And I must say this, that I also find it extremely...
And none of these guys is going to go and fight out there.
Yes, Mr. Bhadoria. Yes, Mr. Bhadoria, what's your problem?
If they are in security forces, they get them bloody some kind of honorific positions in government.
No, we cannot be...
None of these people go out there and fight.
We must not. The limited point I want to make is behind the veneer of an artificial consensus which has its benefits in terms of a parliament debate. We must not avoid the hard issues Today, on the floor of Parliament,
Absolutely.
Sitaram Yechuri spoke about how there was a unilateral Ramzan ceasefire with the Hizbul Mujahideen during Vajpayee's
So
tenure.
just because Mr. Vajpayee made a mistake, should this government also make the same mistake?
No. My question is, should they, why did Parliament not stand up and say, Mr. Yechuri, are you even remotely suggesting a unilateral ceasefire with Syed Salahuddin, leader of the Hizbul Mujahideen, who day before yesterday called for nuclear war between India and Pakistan? Why did nobody in Parliament challenge that logic today? Is a question that baffles me. Sudhindra Bhadoria, please go ahead, Mr. Bhadoria.
Arnab.
Mr. Bhadoria. By the way, feel free to come in. The debate is open now. Yes, Mr. Bhadoria.
As far as India's policy on Kashmir is concerned, India is completely united, the people, the parliament, insofar as Kashmir's integration to India is concerned. The Kashmir, any solution has to be found within the framework of the Indian Constitution.
Yeah, the Hurriyat does not accept the Constitution. End of story.
Taking off from Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee's statement that we have to work within the framework of Insaniyat, Jamhuriyat, and within this framework, when you start working, you have to have a dialogue and engagement.
Dialogue with whom?
You cannot.
Dialogue with whom? Dialogue with whom?
Have a dialogue with? Who do you want to have a dialogue with?
Who do you want to have a dialogue with?
The people?
No, who do you want to have a dialogue with?
Dialogue with Sayyid Ali Gilani?
Listen to me.
Do you want to have a dialogue with Sayyid Ali Gilani, who openly calls for an Islamic state in Kashmir?
And youth, with the students and youth against whom you are using pellets. Please,
okay, have you identified who are the leaders? Have you identified who are the leaders?
Do
you know who the people are? Do you know how the whole campaign is being carried out? You don't know a damn thing, and people keep talking.
Where will you move forward to?
Where will you move forward? You will move forward provided you are clear in your head where you want
I
to
don't
move
understand.
forward.
I am baffled today.
I'm
baffled today. Sudhindra Kulkarni can come into the debate.
Who have been hijacked. There are a whole lot of people who are being held hostage by these fellows.
You see,
and you don't encourage them, you don't empower them, and you want to talk to these people.
Mr. Bhadoria, calm down. Let us understand.
But how have you assumed that it's all the people of Kashmir are on the streets of Kashmir?
You see,
what
counter
about
questions
all
are
those
necessary.
hundreds of thousands and millions of people who have no part to play in what is happening out there? You won't empower that crowd. You won't empower them. You will not engage them. You will not talk to them. You will not listen to them. But you will listen to the stone pelters.
Yeah.
But what kind of policy is this? It's a self-destructive policy.
And today so much was said in Parliament. And I heard it, Pavan Verma, Sudhindra Kulkarni. I was surprised that open and glaring intellectual inconsistencies and factual inconsistencies were not being questioned in the spirit of a democratic debate in Parliament. You can, however, Mr. Kulkarni, at the end of a feisty debate say we are all for, preserving Indian security, sovereignty, and no compromise on that. That is a necessary conclusion when a debate happens in the Indian Parliament, Mr. Pavan Verma. So don't get me wrong. But when there are factual and intellectual inconsistencies, I expected a response. So I was surprised, Mr. Kulkarni, when a reference is made, but in 2000, when you were, by the way, in the Vajpayee government, there was a unilateral Ramzan ceasefire with Syed Salahuddin.
He was the advisor, and that's why the Vajpayee government policy was so bad.
Hizbul Mujahideen, right? With Hizbul Mujahideen. Should there be a unilateral ceasefire with Hizbul Mujahideen? The same group which boasted about the killing of our soldiers in several terrorist attacks in the run-up to Burhan Wani's death. And if there is a unilateral ceasefire with the Hizbul Mujahideen or a suggestion made to that, then tell me, tomorrow some people can say, Acha, theek hai, broad-based kar do. Now, let's have a ceasefire with Hafiz Saeed also. I mean, when a suggestion like that is made, you can argue, Mr. Pavan Verma, that's just a fleeting analogy, but that's not an analogy without context. That analogy is a well-thought context. The person making the analogy knows the consequences of making such an analogy on the floor of the Indian Parliament. Why was that analogy not questioned?
No, that is for the MPs to answer.
No, is the answer not required in a case like this?
Answer is required.
Would you have stood up and questioned it in Parliament?
I will tell you what I feel.
Yes.
There can be absolutely no compromise in the fight against terrorism and spokesman of terrorism, but we must isolate terrorists. There's a very broad section of opinion and ideology within Kashmir with which we need to engage.
Sure.
And here, since we are talking about Vajpayee ji, you know, Vajpayee ji, even just a few months before the parliamentary election in 2004,
right,
both Prime Minister Vajpayee, Deputy Prime Minister Advani ji had detailed and several rounds of talks with Hurriyat leaders. Hurriyat leaders, they call for some form of separatism.
I'm aware of that, but it all failed.
It failed.
It failed.
But they had courage of conviction.
No, it failed. But we learned the lessons of history.
You know,
I'm aware. No, sir, I'm aware. You were in the Prime Minister's office.
Arnab, you fail one time, you fail the second time. But it's only dialogue that is going to take us to a solution.
No.
We need engagement with all shades of opinion in Kashmir. We also need engagement with Pakistan. That is the only way to go forward.
No, sir.
You may differ, but I'm putting across my point of view.
No.
If you want peace in Kashmir, if you want peace with Pakistan, dialogue is the only way.
Sir, I can tell you that's such a highly romanticized point of view.
We should have a dialogue with Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi also.
Yeah, Sushant Sareen responded.
Yes.
Yeah, Sushant,
I have already made it very clear that there can be no dialogue with terrorists. But don't paint all Kashmiris as terrorists. And don't paint all Pakistanis as terrorists.
Acha, you know more about Pakistan. You go on 2 trips and you understood everything about Pakistan. You don't know anything about Pakistan, Mr. Kulkarni. You go on a conducted tour, you go to 1 or 2 parks and you go to 1 or 2 hotels. And
I am saying that not all Pakistanis are terrorists.
And you have misled not only Mr. Vajpayee, you have also misled Mr. Advani.
You know, if Vajpayee ji, could be misled, you are making you are castigating his leadership.
Well, he was misled.
No,
that's your opinion, and none other than our own Prime Minister, Narendra Modi ji, is saying that he wants to take Vajpayee ji's path. Narendra Modi ji is saying that he wants to take Vajpayee's path.
That is why I think Mr.
And therefore you should say that even Narendra Modi ji is making a mistake.
Mr. Modi, yes,
Please
Mr. Modi is also being led up the garden path.
Say that to all the BJP
I'm
leaders.
saying it. Can't you hear me say that? Can't you hear me say that? I think he's being led up the garden path.
Mr. Sareen, you are isolated. If you are saying that even Modi ji is taking a wrong path,
I am isolated. I am isolated, but I don't want to go and suck up to anybody like you. I will say what I feel is the right thing to say.
I am saying that we must engage.
I don't mind speaking truth to power.
Are our people.
I don't tell people what they want to hear.
Kashmiris are our people.
There are certain because you don't know what is happening in Kashmir. You have no ear to the ground. So you just want to follow an apologetic, turn the other cheek kind of a policy. You want to keep turning the other cheek until and unless the other person tires of slapping you on the face. I am afraid I don't agree with that kind of a policy.
I respect your dissenting view.
No. Look at it. Let's be factual today. Sir, it's I hope you don't take it personally.
No, not at all.
Now, Pavan Verma wants it. Don't take it personally.
Not at all.
You try. No, once. I'm saying something to Pavan Verma. I'm just saying something to Mr. Kulkarni with the greatest of respect to him. I'm saying to you, Mr. Kulkarni, accept it, you failed. And one second. We have really long memories on these cases. You claim today that talks with the Hurriyat are imperative. Point 1. Was it not the government's effort to solve... Mr. Bhadoria, please. Mr. Bhadoria, please. 1 second. Was it not the government's effort to solve the Kashmiri issue peacefully when it engaged with the Hurriyat? January 22nd, 2004, you were in the Prime Minister's office. L.K. Advani met the Hurriyat leadership. It is said under your guidance. March 27, 2004, Vajpayee government met for a follow-up with the Hurriyat leadership to take complaints into consideration. And the reason why Mr. Sareen is so upset is because it is rumored, Mr. Kulkarni, that you were the person in the PMO in the last days of the Vajpayee government desperately trying to work the phones to make something happen. You failed. September 6, 2005. Allow me to complete. Unfortunately, the same legacy taken forward by the UPA government under Manmohan Singh, which indulged in talks with the Hurriyat leadership, after which this person, who is a complete turncoat called Mirwais Omar Farooq, said the Kashmir issue needs to be resolved through dialogue. What happened after that? What happened during the Amarnath land draw of 2008? What happened during the stone pelting protests of 2010? Was Masarat Alam being funded by Gilani at that point of time to keep Kashmir on the boil then or not? Sir, please understand, when you speak about engagement, I want you to define engagement. The engagement with whom? Engagement how? And engagement under what conditions? It can't be unconditional engagement. Pavan Verma wants to come into the debate. Sudheendra Kulkarni, respond. Debate is open. I'll come to you. Fuad Halim, welcome to the debate.
I want to just add one fact.
Yeah.
You know, so much was the credibility.
So you failed. You failed. First you accept you failed.
I want to first tell you.
You accept you failed.
There was so much credibility that Vajpayee ji gained that Hurriyat leaders in Kashmir said, please contest from Kashmir in the Lok Sabha election.
That's highly romanticized.
It's only my dear friend, only by winning the hearts and minds of people that you can solve problems.
Hearts and minds
not with pellet guns.
How have you assumed? How have you assumed that you want to win the hearts and minds of the separatists? There is a whole body of opinion in Kashmir which needs to be empowered so that they can rise up against these people who are feeling hostages in the hands of these people.
Okay, Sushil
they
Pandit.
are ordinary guys like you and me
Sushil Pandit,
who want to have a proper existence, who want to be engaged with the rest of the
Arnab, I'll tell you why.
But we want to bring
I'll point out to one basic inconsistency.
Yeah.
I would like to point out to one basic inconsistency in Mr. Kulkarni's argument. He says that we will never talk to terrorists. Please ask him, when has Hurriyat denounced Hizbul Mujahideen's terror?
Not once.
Or Lashkar-e-Tayyiba's terror?
Not once, and they never will.
Or Harkatul Ansar's terror?
Not once, they never will.
Do you know when Abdul Ghani Lone,
and then
Hurriyat leader, was gunned down?
Terror?
His son refused to entertain Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani among the mourners.
Absolutely.
And yet you engage with the same Hurriyat. And then you say you will not talk to terrorists, you will not talk to those who unleash violence.
There you are.
This is hypocrisy of the worst order.
Okay, charges of hypocrisy. Prafulla Ketkar coming into the debate. Would you like the other panelists to also come in, please? Many want to respond to you. Sudhindra Kulkarni has sparked the debate. Prafulla Ketkar.
Arnab.
Yeah.
Arnab, let's put some facts together. We need to understand that this stone pelting business started when 634 stone pelters who were perpetrators in 2010 were released to give peace a chance. That was the biggest mistake. If we take a position that law cannot be taken into hand in other parts of India, the rule should be applicable to Jammu and Kashmir also. We forget the fact that 42 positions that were vacated by Indian Army in last 3-4 years, those are the same places where the stone pelters are showing their strength. These are the facts nobody is discussing. We need to put the facts together.
Yeah.
That if Pakistan is the epicenter of terrorism,
and I'm asking,
Hurriyat is representing them in the valley,
and I'm asking,
and nobody can talk with them.
And I'm asking, and Seshadri Chari, feel free to come in at any point. The only question I'm asking, Pavan Verma and Sudhindra Kulkarni to think tonight. And my question is, engage. But understand, if you engage unconditionally with unknown people, with unknown motivations, with foreign funding and Pakistan backing, then understand, Mr. Pavan Verma, that you have to be responsible for the consequences of this engagement. You care about the people who throw stones and who hurl grenades You don't care about the Indian soldiers and civilians who are killed in terrorist attacks. And I'm presenting factually, not at a personal counter, to Sudheendra Kulkarni that prior to the January 2004 talks between Lal Krishna Advani and the All-Party Hurriyat Conference in 2003 alone, as per reports, hundreds of people, including security forces, were butchered in violence, despite 2 rounds of talks between the centre and the Hurriyat in 2004, which happened on January 22nd, which happened on March 26th. And he knows, Mr. Kulkarni, how he was pushing for it. What followed was complete bloodshed and a continuance of terror activities like the one in June 2004 in Punch, which killed 12 people. Who will bring those 12 lives back? It was your soft approach, your unthought approach, your hurried and hasty approach which led to that bloodshed, Mr. Kulkarni. This is not diplomacy. This is foolishness. This is not engagement.
No, I have only one thing to say. Please tell Prime Minister Modi that you are wrong. You should not have said that you would follow Vajpayee's path.
Where is Prime Minister Modi?
Have the courage to tell Prime Minister Modi that you are wrong.
Listen, Mr. Kulkarni, tell me.
Yes, of course.
No, 1 second. I'm saying so. I'm saying engagement with separatists is counterproductive unless they swear by the Indian Constitution. I have no prevarication in saying so, but you tell me, Mr. Kulkarni, tell me where has there been a commitment from this government that they will engage with the pro-Pak separatists? Where have they said?
When has insaniyat meant talking to terrorists? So insaniyat is all very well, but insaniyat has to be from the other side as well.
Where
so if Mr. Modi says that I will do it,
insaniyat is not one-way street.
How does it?
Seshadri Chari on the left. Pavan Verma is back on the debate. Pavan Verma and Seshadri Chari. Yeah.
When acid bottles are chucked at the security forces, when petrol bombs are chucked at the security forces,
Sushil Pandit,
if I have understood, Arnab, if I have understood Mr. Pavan Verma and Mr. Sudhindra Kulkarni, I'm not trying to put words into their mouth, but I think what they are trying to say is nobody is talking about unconditional talks with all the parties concerned in Jammu and Kashmir. Nobody is talking about unconditional talks. There can never be an unconditional talk. We cannot talk to those terrorist elements unconditionally. Period. But as far as talks are concerned, as far as engagements are concerned,
with whom?
There could be a number of methodologies through which we could get engaged.
With whom?
There was
with whom, Mr. Chari?
Government which tried to engage.
With whom, Mr. Chari?
They called an all-party meeting of more than 42 people, but the Hurriyat refused to even come on board. But the Hurriyat probably wanted to trust Atal Bihari Vajpayee at that time. And there was an opportunity where the Hurriyat also could have given up the terrorist methodologies, violence, and come on the political basis. We have always been saying that we will talk to all those people who believe in the political process.
Which means constitution.
Not those people
who
believe in violence. Not those people who engage in violence, and not those people who engage in terrorism.
Listen, Mr. Chari,
deal with terrorism strongly.
Mr. Chari,
deal with separatists.
Mr. Chari, I think we are not being clear.
But give an opportunity for people to come into the political process.
Mr. Chari, see, you need to understand here. You're a very, very mature person as far as foreign policy and internal security issues are concerned. I am putting it across to you and to Pavan Verma, who's been wanting to come into the debate. What did we do? Sudhindra Kulkarni, who's with me in the studio, made every attempt to bring them on board. You agree, sir? You made every attempt in the Prime Minister's office to bring them on board. You went out of your way, am I right or wrong, to bring the Hurriyat conference on board. The moment you were out of the office, our Independence Day in the following year, 2005, was announced by the all-party Hurriyat conference, who you were cajoling. It was declared as a black day. August 15th was declared as a black day. What Pakistan has done officially now by calling for a black day on Kashmir was done by the Hurriyat conference on Independence Day 2005. Despite everything that you did, this was the result of your reach out. So we can't be making those same mistakes now. And Pavan Verma, why don't you say the basic precondition will have to be an untainted respect for the Constitution of India if you want to talk to India. Basic precondition will have to be including protecting the sovereignty and integrity of India.
Arnab,
Mr. Chari, go on.
Now, can I respond or is Mr. Chari now respond?
No, you respond. Pavan Verma, it's your turn. Sorry, Pavan Verma, Pavan Verma, yeah.
No, that
Pavan Verma. First of all, Arnab, let me make one or two things as I understand it clear, and I'm not expecting for you to agree with me. First of all, I don't believe that talks should be held with people who at the moment and in perpetuity say that we are not part of India and we don't believe in the Indian Constitution. Secondly, to advocate the path of engagement along with a firm stand against terrorism does not mean in any manner to downgrade or degrade or devalue or reduce the tremendous respect we have for our armed forces in exceptionally adverse circumstances and the job that they are doing. Thirdly, engagement does not mean a quantum leap into suddenly talking and condoning Hafiz Saeed. Now let's remove the black and white simplicities from this argument, because I still maintain and I understand where Sushant Sareen is coming from, but I want to also say that one of the great strengths of India's democracy is democratic co-option. We've had talks in Nagaland. We've had talks in Assam. There was a time Punjab was in flames. But ultimately, the great strength of India is that it manages to co-opt within a democratic framework even those who are inclined towards secessionism or who are against
and fails repeatedly.
So therefore, that effort cannot be given up.
No, I'm sorry.
Therefore, that effort cannot be given up.
I'm sorry.
And it must be carried out. With complete respect of
okay, we are getting counters. I need to get Fuad Halim into the debate.
Jammu and Kashmir is part of India and with respect for our armed forces, and we must let me finish. And we must also say that while our armed forces act under great pressure, no government, no country, and even the armed forces accept that on occasion, if disproportionate force is used, other methodologies can be found as well. This is not to say that our armed forces are doing something which is wrong. But this is part of a democratic dialogue. Now we can't indulge constantly in black and white simplicities.
No, 1 second. First of all, one second.
I would largely agree. I would largely agree with what Mr. Verma is saying.
We have to bring back the Jammu Kashmir into the mainstream of India. Again, and that effort has to be made.
Absolutely right, sir. What your point you are making is unexceptionable, but when you talk about the Northeast, there were a couple of very, very significant differences between what is happening in Kashmir and what is happening in Northeast. Northeast was a local kind of a thing. As long as the Northeast insurgencies in the 50s and 60s were being funded by the Pakistanis, and we seem to have imagined that Pakistan has just started sponsoring terrorism in India only since the 1980s. But in the Northeast, as long as the Paks were pulling the strings, nothing really succeeded. It was when the Northeastern insurgents came into their own, they became their own masters, it paved the way for a proper dialogue with them. Secondly, there was always a ceasefire which accompanied
and many of them came to the negotiating table.
I have a question.
I have nothing against co-opting people, sir.
I have a question.
My point is that there is a whole section
Sushant Sareen, listen, Sushant Sareen,
that is what I am against.
First of all, strong objection to this classical definition, because Pavan Verma realizes.
I will reply.
Pavan Verma, with the greatest of respect, you do realize.
Your question.
1 second. You do realize that factually you're not being able to respond to me tonight, and therefore you want to have this patronizing approach, with the great respect to you, sir, of saying, this simplistic black and white explanation, etc. I want to place you and Fuad Halim on two sides of the debate, and let's then argue whether I'm being simplistic or you are. Fuad Halim. First to Fuad Halim, because then I can engage with you. Fuad Halim, simple answer, give me a yes or no at the start. Do you want engagement with everyone, every group, every stakeholder in Kashmir or not? Yes or no?
See, Arnab, very clearly the Rajya Sabha today is unanimously resolved that an all-party meeting should be held.
No, all-party I am not talking about.
32 days of curfew and
all-party I am not. All-party should engage.
Close to 50 people who are dead.
Fuad,
for the government of India to realize it needs to engage with the political parties in India.
See, Fuad, you're avoiding the argument. You're skirting it. Now, one second. Let me draw you back. Let me draw you back, Fuad.
Arnab, who engages?
Fuad, let me draw you back. Let me draw you back.
Asking me who does.
Fuad, simple question.
Arnab,
simple
who engages?
question.
The government of India engages.
Fuad, listen, don't skirt it.
So the first thing is the government of India has realized that it needs to engage with the political parties, and it's a welcome step.
No, not only political parties. Now, Mr. Fuad Halim, please listen to me. Mr. Fuad Halim, I'll narrow it down.
Arnab,
I'll help you. One
you
second,
are
Mr. Fuad
asking
Halim.
A question.
Mr. Fuad Halim, my question is simple. You do feel that as part of this engagement, political parties, of course, that's a given. But you would want engagement with the Hurriyat.
Today.
Would you want?
Days of curfew. Let's realize that first.
Would you also
it's a welcome step.
Would you support engagement with the Hurriyat? Talking, engaging. That's what. Engaging with the Hurriyat. What is your view on that? Engagement, talking, sitting, discussing.
We are very clear.
Yeah.
Arnab, the Kashmir imbroglio is very, very complicated, and we have to start with taking the constructive steps. And the first step in a concrete debate was the government of India actually coming to a conclusion that it needs to engage with the government of Kashmir. You know, the government of India had stepped back.
But 1 second, Fuad, listen.
When the chief
Fuad,
minister
listen.
of
Hello.
Kashmir comes to the center.
Fuad, can I ask you?
I think
Fuad, listen, you're very long-winded, circuitous route to a very simple question. So, viewers, let me tell you one thing. I'm really shocked. I'm sure. No, Fuad, 1 second. Fuad, listen to me. Fuad, don't speak over me. 30 seconds. I will, bit by bit and part by part.
Speak with the Hurriyat. It's the government. The question, the foundation of
should
the
they or should they not?
Sides of it.
Should they or should they not?
Who will speak with the Hurriyat?
No, should the government speak to the Hurriyat?
The Congress party or the government of India?
Should the government of India speak to the Hurriyat? Engage with the
government of India has just started speaking to the political parties of India.
Now,
realize that, Arnab, on the question of Kashmir.
One second. CPIM is not creating any trouble.
That's the first step that the government of India has taken.
Why are you going? No, this is ridiculous. No, Fuad, listen. Fuad, listen. This is what I call. You know, I'll tell you, Fuad. Fuad, I think you preempted my next question. You understood my question. You see, I am shocked at this double standards, hypocrisy, U-turn, because I remember 2009. You were in power in Bengal. Today, your leader stands up. 1 second, Fuad, listen to the point. You can't go on without listening to the point. You listen to me for 30 seconds, please. Listen to me for 30 seconds. 30 seconds. 30 seconds I will complete my argument. Have some patience, Fuad, and then respond to me. Respond to me. Respond to me. Respond to me after listening to my question, not before.
Don't make it BJP, Congress and...
You are not even understanding the question in its full depth. So you'll have to listen, just be quiet for 30 seconds and understand. If you can reply, otherwise we'll move on. Fuad, I find it shocking today that your leader stands up and says, you know, Vajpayee was even talking to the Hizbul Mujahideen. He had a unilateral ceasefire with them. Advani had a roundtable meeting with separatists, called for a discussion. You know, start the political dialogue, start the political process. Fuad Halim, it is shocking you are even open to talks with separatists when the left, when they were in power in West Bengal, absolutely rejected talking to Maoists. Buddhadev Bhattacharya said there is no question of speaking to the Maoists or to the PCPA. First, lay down arms, abjure violence, and also follow the Indian Constitution and no discussions without a compromise on that subject. You don't accept the Constitution of India, no question of talking to you. That was your position in Bengal, sir. That was your position in Bengal, sir. And that was the question then when your government was asked, will you talk to the Naxalites, to the Maoist terrorists? You said absolutely not. We will not compromise. That is the primary condition set by the center and we stand by that. Oh, one line in Bengal, one line in Kashmir. Tell me why. Tell me why. Tell me why, sir. Answer my question. Tell me why. Sir, tell me why. Tell me why you had that position in Bengal and you have a different approach in Kashmir. Answer that question. Why is it important to have an uncompromising position in Bengal? where you are responsible for law and order, and you will bear the political consequences of a breakdown in law and order. And like hypocrites, you will have a different approach when it comes to Kashmir. No, sir, I will not let you go today. You explain why. I'm opening the debate tonight to all the panelists. Explain why. Explain why. No compromise with Maoist terrorists and their supporters in Bengal, but an absolute compromise you're ready for in the context of Kashmir. Explain why.
On your line. Why are you running away?
Electoral politics needs vitamin M.
No, explain why. Explain why. Prafulla Ketkar, Sushant Sareen, Pavan Verma, explain why.
Issues between
Seshadri Chari, let's come into the debate.
and BJP.
Every now and then,
no sir, no sir,
they quote
no sir,
Insaniyat, Jamhuriyat and Kashmiriyat.
Unanimous resolution taken by Rajya Sabha.
Sir, you are not understanding.
Please somebody explain me.
Explain this.
Do these Pakistan supported element believe in Insaniyat? Do they believe in Jamhuriyat? Do they believe in democratic process? Do they represent Kashmiriyat?
Alimuddin Khan, Sudhindra Bhadoria, explain why. Someone explain why.
Arnab ji.
Alimuddin Khan, yeah.
Arnab ji.
बोलिए Alimuddin Khan जी बोलिए.
Arnab ji, you are asking that to whom we should talk. You are asking that to whom we should talk. I want to reply this question.
Three elements can have
if I refer you to the article written by senior bureaucrat Mr. Wajahat Habibullah in the Hindu day and day before yesterday, if you read that article, it says that youth from 18 to 25 years of the Kashmiri youth
Sushant Sareen
is involved in this thing. Now we need all political parties. We need
because they are radicalized
level and
radicalized and people like you who are supporting the dialogue with the Hurriyat and they are behind this radicalization.
And secondly,
are you ready to denounce the radicalization?
We have to reply them back. Sir, I am telling you first. You have to open the dialogue. You are not talking to the
dialogue with whom?
You go to the
dialogue with
panchayat, ask government to
dialogue with guns
and to call these youth and bring them to the
someone answer my question.
Mainstream.
Someone answer my question.
You have to talk.
I have not got an answer to my question.
I think Alimuddin Khan
I have not got an answer to my question.
To talk to them.
Answer my question.
These elements are the biggest enemies
one second. To the other side.
They have killed Kashmiri language. They have killed Kashmiri culture.
Two challenges today: how to tackle this youth and how to reply to the Hafiz.
Well, you know something, sir. Sir, one second. To all those politicians who call for an engagement with the separatist brigade tonight, I want to ask, who is the villain? Is the villain those who are appealing to the Kashmiri youth to take to books instead of guns, or is the villain those who are defending the Kashmiri youth's decision to pick up the guns? Who is the villain? Is the villain those who are calling for zero tolerance to elements to disrupt peace in the valley, or the villain those who are defending the need to disrupt peace on Indian soil? That's the question. Bring it down to those basics. Who is the villain? Those who are saying that Indian identity should be supreme for every Indian, or the villain, those who are besotted with
Arnab,
Pakistan proxies?
History.
Pardon me?
History of Kashmir is very, very strong. The history of Kashmir is a very strong contributor to the situation that exists today. You cannot erase the history of there.
Who destroyed?
So the question is,
who destroyed the heaven called Kashmir
today and move on.
No.
You need to have a constructive.
I'd like Pavan Verma and Seshadri Chari.
I am enthused by the way Rajya Sabha has resolved to together move ahead
and make a committee, then go to the
Alimuddin Khan, listen. Alimuddin Khan, I want Pavan Verma, Seshadri Chari and Sudhindra Kulkarni to come back to the debate. No, I said Sudhindra Kulkarni before I come back on the subject. So that you don't feel, Mr. Kulkarni, that Mr. Pavan Verma, the black and white simplistic thing as you described, it's a nuanced thing. I'm actually going into the nuances. To you, I'd like to remind you, Pavan Verma, that in September 2010, 4 Bihar policemen were captured by Maoist terrorists. Nitish Kumar crumbled, had a soft approach and said, I want to engage these Naxalites in talks. Right? You were willing to hold talks with Maoists. That offer, did it change anything? When in July 19th, 10 commandos were killed in the Aurangabad district of Bihar by the same Maoist terrorists. The offer for talks changed nothing Mr. Pavan Verma, and likewise with separatists and their links to terror outfits and the known Pakistan proximities, you must understand it will change nothing on the ground. So when you say talks, why don't you say talks only with those who respect the Indian Constitution? Yeah.
I'll make a quick reply because I genuinely believe what I'm saying. It's never an either or situation in a democracy. You take a firm stand where you can in order to eliminate or minimize or marginalize those who don't believe in the Indian Constitution or the national framework of India as a sovereign country. At the same time, if there are people who can be persuaded to come back to the mainstream, you make that effort as well.
How do you decide?
It's very easy to take a line by saying...
How do you decide?
I'll just finish. Yes, now just let me finish. Because Arnab, when someone is trying to explain a point of view, your questions start coming in a staccato speed, and that breaks the line of thought. So let me finish in as little time, which will not be more than 20 seconds. I have great respect for you also, but just 20 seconds is what I crave from.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So therefore, in a situation like this, in this situation, while we need definitely to take a hard stand against those who are hardcore terrorists whom we assess to be beyond the pale of conversation and dialogue, we must continue to make the effort, even with estranged people, to try and persuade them to be co-opted within the dividends of a democratic and secular India, the national mainstream. And if that effort is not made, I want to say on record to you that the use of force in perpetuity in Jammu and Kashmir will be to act against the interests of the people of Jammu Kashmir who may not be identifying with these hardcore terrorists. So I say to you that it's not one or the other. A mature state will have to deal with the situation. Perhaps, and that's my last sentence.
No.
Perhaps let us make the beginning of a dialogue. Let's make the beginning of a dialogue.
You tell me, I gave you an example, Mr. Verma. Mr. Verma, the people of India want a response to the question that I asked you, and the question.
Let us take that as a beginning.
Sir, people of India.
Let us take that as a beginning.
The people of India want a response to the question I asked you, and I wanted to tell the people. You went soft, no? When people were being held hostage by Maoist terrorists, and you say, "Aiye, baat karte hai, baithte hai, baat karte hai, kya fayda hua?" Simple. What did you gain? You felt good?
Let me tell you, Arnab, that where Maoists are concerned, in many cases they are beyond the pale. Some of them.
Who decides, sir, who's beyond the pale? I'm sorry. No, Mr. Verma, I'm sorry.
No. That is the strength of a democracy.
No, why? Mr. Verma, this country, Mr. Verma, you are setting a precedent in every part of this country. I'm sorry. You tell me, Mr. Verma. Please understand this. I'm asking you this today. The blood spilled. The blood spilled of every Indian. Mr. Verma, hear me. Mr. Verma, we have to look at whatever is happening in this country in the context of the fact that we are a large country with many states.
Take a hard line.
Mr. Verma, this is what I don't like. You are resorting now that I'm continuing to question you, which you describe as staccato, to using adjectives such as black and white, hardline, etc. It's neither hardline or soft line, left or right, it's factual. My question to you, Mr. Verma, and this is a simple question. You agree with me. A few days back, a group of terrorists wearing black raincoats went in the middle of a busy market in Kokrajhar, in the Bodo part of Assam. They took out their guns, they started shooting people. Okay? People from different ethnic groups died. There were people who were Hindu, there were people who were Muslim. There were men and there were women. There were Bodos. There were people who were Assamese speaking, right? And those who were not. All of them was also an Indian citizen. First point to you. Okay? They're also being killed. They're also being butchered. There is a group this country is going after called the NDFBS. It's a terrorist group. Our forces, our intelligence, together with those who are hiding in some forest near Bhutan or China or wherever, are going after this group. This group, to retain its relevance, carries out a terror attack like that. Okay? Should we engage with them?
Yes.
One second. Should we engage with them?
Let me complete
my point. No, sir, Mr. Verma. Now, Mr. Verma, you're very unfair. When I'm completing my point, you want to interrupt me because you know that when I complete my point, you will not be able to respond to my question in the way that you want to. You must let me complete my point. I protest. I protest. No. My question must be allowed to be asked. I am putting an open complaint to my viewers tonight.
Let me respond.
No, you have not. I've given a part of the fact. Fact is, Maoists kill people.
You gave such a long preamble to your question.
Mr. Verma, don't worry.
And you asked a direct question, and the moment I was answering it, you began to say the question is not complete.
Mr. Pavan Verma.
I am saying, do you know what happened?
Mr. Verma, you're not listening to my question. Mr. Verma, you are. आप क्यों मुझे आज क्यों नहीं बोलने दे रहे? आप ऐसे मूड में क्यों हैं? जब आप देख रहे हैं कि मैं आज आपकी बात सुन रहा हूँ, आप मुझे रोकिए मत. नहीं, आप रोकिए मत. आज बोलने आज बोलने दीजिए ना, फैक्चुअल डिबेट हो जाए. Mr. Verma, listen to me. My question to you is, Mr. Verma, that whether a person is a Kashmiri, a Bengali, a Bihari, a Jharkhandi,
yes,
or an Assamese, one second, or from any part of this country, when blood is spilled. When terrorism is carried out, terrorism is carried out. When there are victims, there are victims. All I am saying is that please understand, if you set a precedent in Kashmir of engagement with people who disrespect the state, use terrorism overtly or covertly as an instrument to bludgeon the state, do not respect the sovereignty of this country, you will be encouraged. If you start engaging with these people unconditionally, you will be setting a very dangerous precedent at a national level. I'm sure, at least on this point, Seshadri Chari will agree with me. Mr. Chari, it's a broader point.
I agree.
It's a broader point.
Let me quickly give a...
I completely...
Let's get to
Arnab, I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you as far as this particular issue is concerned. Arnab, it is nobody's argument. I completely agree with you. There can be no talks. There can be no talks with people who are holding a gun in their hand. There can be no talks with people who are killing others. There can be no talks with people who are separatists. There can be no talks with people who don't believe in the Constitution of India. There can be no talks with people who are acting at the behest of Pakistan. There can be no talks with people who have got blood in their hands.
That's clear.
It is period. It's complete. There can be no discussion on this subject at all. But at the same time, I think the doors should be kept open for all those who are prepared to engage with the government of India and other political parties.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chari.
As equals.
No, Mr. Chari.
Yes. We are not asking people to talk to the army.
No, you can't, Mr. Chari.
The army's action against terrorism will be directly proportional to the weapons that are used against them.
You can't do that, Mr. Chari. You cannot talk to people like Yasin Malik.
No, we are not talking. We are not saying that we should be talking to terrorists.
No, sir. Sir, listen.
We cannot talk to such people.
You can't.
Those who support violence.
Sir, I'm saying.
Those who support violence.
I'm saying this.
We cannot talk to them.
What I'm saying is, and I want Mr. Kulkarni to come in. Mr. Kulkarni, everybody's been talking. All party delegation visited Kashmir in 2010. The first delegation to visit Kashmir and meet separatists since 1989. 2 years and 5 months later.
Arnab, I have a point.
2 years and 5 months later, in February 2013, the same Yasin Malik, who all party leaders met and visited, the same quote-unquote moderate separatist, shared the stage after 26/11, Mr. Kulkarni, with Hafiz Saeed and Syed Salahuddin. He made his intentions clear. Not only must we not engage, we must punish a person for engaging with Hafiz Saeed. We cannot incentivize that person today. The same moderate Mirwais Omar Farooq, who you engaged with, kept calling for the boycott of elections.
Publicly said on the television set the intentions of the Pakistan Army and ISI.
What? No, I'm saying you cannot engage with these people. Mr. Kulkarni, make your position clear. 5 minutes on the debate. Mr. Kulkarni, make your position clear.
Arnab, I have an issue.
Go on. No, you can go ahead, Mr. Kulkarni, go on.
There can be no talks with terrorist organizations, but we have to talk to all Indian people who do not take to terrorism, at the same time have a different point of view,
you ask Yasin Malik to come on Newshour. You ask Yasin Malik to come on Newshour and say I'm an Indian and I respect the Indian constitution.
No.
You ask him to do that first. Will he do that?
No, there is no
Mr.
need
Chari,
for talks.
Mr. Chari, that's where we must draw the line. I'm sorry, but engagement has its limits, Mr. Chari. And I don't know why you are softening up to that point today where you're not even taking a position on this issue. You cannot engage with these people who go and have lunch with Hafiz Saeed across the border.
Arnab, the question is not softening a heart.
Violence, and is he willing to condemn
the
violence?
question is not taking a soft stand or a hard
I
stand.
can interpret this.
The test tone for engagement should be: do you believe in the Indian constitution or not?
That's it.
Are you prepared to give up violence?
That's it. Fuad Halim, you get the point.
Are you prepared to condemn
Arnab,
terrorism?
allow me to interpret this
If you are a terrorist, if you believe in violence,
you see,
you don't
Arnab,
believe
we
in the
have
Indian constitution.
a lot of ground.
We cannot talk.
And if I understand Mr. Seshadri Chari's position to be to be the position of the government of India, then I think so. If we have covered serious ground, and the resolution taken by the Rajya Sabha today.
No, Mr. Chari, first you ask.
First goes ahead.
First you tell me. First you tell me. Do you agree? No, one second. Do you agree? Therefore, by this definition. Mr. Chari, one minute. Mr. Chari, 1 minute. By this definition,
I appreciate your point that we should engage.
No, Mr. Fuad, this engagement, just like that makes no sense. What I'm saying is you can't engage with the Hurriyat because they don't believe in the Indian constitution. Khatam. What's there to discuss, Fuad Halim? Come on, accept that fact. You can't talk to people like the Hurriyat. Simple. Pardon me?
The government of India.
I don't know where the
Hurriyat cannot accept the Indian constitution.
Why do not want to understand this?
Yeah, okay, one second.
Arnab, a solution can only come about by engaging with the people in Kashmir.
Sir, I'm saying...
And the people of Kashmir at the moment are ranged in various formations. One is the political formation. You already have a government there. You've got the assembly of there. You've got the political parties in Kashmir. And then you've got players who are outside the political structure.
So the Maoist terrorists, by that definition, the Maoist terrorists were a player in Bengal. Why didn't you talk to them? Why didn't you talk to the Maoist terrorists? Why didn't you do this wonderful creative experiment of engagement in Bengal when the Maoist terrorists were butchering people? Why didn't you do it then? Answer the people watching the news.
I'll tell you, Arnab, why.
Different issues.
So Sushil Pandit on the other side. 3 minutes on the debate. We'll get last word from Sudhindra Kulkarni. Sushil Pandit.
Arnab, I have a take on this. Some of your esteemed panelists are agonizing over nuances with on one hand this, on the other hand that, if, but, therefore, however kind of language, because of their aversion to black and white truth, and I'll tell you why. What is true of entire country will never be applied to state of Jammu and Kashmir, and it has been so since the very beginning in 1947. Kashmir has been always identified as a special state
Let me remind you,
for majoritarian Muslim identity politics. There have been concessions made to it. While we built a secular democracy across the country, we allowed a certain kind of perversion in the politics of Jammu and Kashmir. And we are reaping the fruits of that perversion. What started as mere identity politics has today become a full-fledged jihad.
The Rajya Sabha has today accepted.
You're again going on about Rajya Sabha.
I seriously protest this.
You're going on about the Rajya Sabha. You're not answering any questions.
One of the highest decision-making.
You refuse to see the truth on the ground.
Answering the specific.
Rajya Sabha failed to seize the situation. Rajya Sabha refused to see the truth. Rajya Sabha has been lost in the cliches which have become useless now.
Yeah. And I would have liked some more politicians, especially if opposition, all come out even more strongly on Pakistan, which did not happen. So, Mr. Sudheendra Kulkarni, my only question to you is engage. But can we have a simple precondition that you must have an unblemished respect for the Indian constitution? That you cannot be a hypocrite who lives in India and abuses the sovereignty of India. You cannot be an unblemished hypocrite like Gilani, an opportunist like Mirwais Omar Farooq, who will parrot a Pakistani line on Indian soil and then say, I want to be called for engagement. Is that too much to ask?
Absolutely.
Is that too much to ask?
My response,
yes.
You know, it has taken 1 month for the Prime Minister to respond to whatever was happening in Kashmir. Now, 5 days from now is Independence Day. He should make full use of this important occasion to lay out a very credible, comprehensive and clear view on what he wants to do with Kashmir. What is his appeal to the people of Kashmir?
I thought anyone,
what is his message to the people of Kashmir?
Mr. Kulkarni, genuinely I believe that question put to anyone at any point of time should be an absolute yes. And I want to hear that yes from you, sir, on the Newshour tonight. I want you to say, talk only to people who don't abuse the Indian Constitution.
Talk only to people who have given up terrorism.
No, what's
Constitution?
You know,
no, I'm sorry.
You have to talk to separatists. You have to talk to separatists.
You absolutely want to talk to separatists.
You want to solve a problem. There is a problem.
You can't talk to people.
There is a problem.
You can't talk to people who have a deal with Hafiz Saeed. You can't. I don't know why. I don't know what's the great intellectualism of all this. By that logic. No. I don't understand. Tomorrow, today there is proof on tape that this entire thing is Pakistan sponsored, that it is funded. You will want us tomorrow to engage with Hafiz Saeed.
Undeniable.
I'm sorry.
You know, Pakistan's role is undeniable. Yet we have to talk to Pakistan.
Okay, watch it. This is incredible. This is incredible. The Jamaat-ud Dawa, by its own definition, is not a terrorist group. The Jamaat-ud Dawa said it does charity. Similarly, the Hurriyat is not a terrorist group by its own definition. It says, I don't know what it is, by the way. Nobody on earth knows what it is. Only the cottage industry that loves Pakistan seems to understand what the Hurriyat is. Please tell me, by the same definition, people like you will say tomorrow that talk to Jamaat-ud Dawa.
You know, we should talk to the
they also abuse the Indian Constitution.
To the elected government in Pakistan.
No, is the Hurriyat elected government?
As far as India is concerned, we should talk to all shades of opinion in Kashmir.
Has the Hurriyat fought a municipal election in its life? Why do you want us to engage with them?
You know, I'm not talking.
No, tomorrow you will say that
all shades of opinion. There are people.
Absolutely not. These are people,
except those who take to terrorism.
These are people who are not whimsical. These are opportunists who refuse to raise their voice when ISIS and Pakistan flags are waved in the valley. You know, right? And they tell people to pick up guns. The
way forward is the way of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and I'm very happy that Narendra Modi is saying he wants to follow Vajpayee's path.
I put this question to you tonight. I've presented my perspective. We've had a great debate. Tell us where you stand on this. Thank you very much for joining me on debate number 1 on the Newshour tonight. Thank you.